Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for an experience like no other. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for The Mary D. Show, where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. The Mary D. Show brings you powerful insights and inspiring stories from a diverse range of guests. Join our incredible host, Mary D. Welch, as she sits down with thought leaders, business owners, and changemakers, sharing their journeys and successes. From career professionals and entrepreneurs to educators and beauty advisors, Mary D. Welch interviews sports figures and health enthusiasts, offering a platform for extraordinary voices. Explore the world of extraordinary people and places in business and finance, homes and real estate, beauty and wellness, education and empowerment, sports and health, and more. Want to be a guest on the show? Call 619-669-8603 or email mary@marydwelch.com. Visit www.marydwelch.com to learn more.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mary D. Show. It's been a week. I don't know about you, but maybe it's me, but it seems like time is speeding up. Like 1 week is flashing by, another week is flashing by. Next thing you know, we're going to be in 2027. We are right now, ladies and gentlemen, halfway through the year. Halfway. This is June. Well, this basically might as well be July of 2026. That's how fast it's gone. But guess what? It's all good. It's all good. We are here. We are live. Is everything perfect? I don't know about you, but no, it's not. But I would say this. It's perfect in our lives. You know, just being on this beautiful planet is perfect. Let's just be honest. So anyway, welcome. I'd like to first thank you to our live viewers. Hi, live viewers. Then I want to thank our replay viewers. Hi, replay viewers. And then I also want to thank, actually today, ladies and gentlemen, first our executive producer, Oliver Welch. You guys are, hi, babe. Yeah, as you know, he's in the background. But I'm also going to say hi to my number one son, Bradley. Hi, babe. I said, hi, Bradley. Bradley's in the background. He's there watching with Oliver. I love you, love you, love you. Also, I want to say happy birthday to my sister. Happy birthday, Dorotha. Today is her, I don't know if she minds me saying how old she is, but I don't think she'll mind. She's 66 today. I love you, sister. Happy birthday. She's born, as you know, last week you celebrated my birthday on June 22nd. Today is her birthday on June 29th. So what can I say? So ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Now, I also want to, I almost forgot. Even though I said hi to Bradley, I need to say hi to Bradley's, as they say, I don't want to say better half, I'll say other half. And that's Bradley's wife, Liz. Hi, Liz. I don't know if you're watching, but it's always good to see you too. Now, I want to, before I introduce you to our wonderful guest today, because I've been knowing this gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, I think we said 30 years. We kind of went with 30. I think we stopped at that because I've known him, for those of you that I've known for a long time, years ago it was called First Fridays in the IE, or in the Inland Empire. And First Fridays was networking for African Americans. So many would come. It was, oh my goodness. It went on for like 15 years, really. And Jerry was one of the, because I'm going to introduce you to, Jerry was really a strong supporter of First Fridays. He would come, he would be there. It's like, do you need anything? What can I do? So when I tell you I've known Jerry L. Green for a minute, I have, but he's also a friend. And so I'm going to read you his bio and really tell you who this man is, because he is a strong community advocate. And he's an advocate for our babies, for our kids. Jerry L. Green is a nationally recognized K-12 education advocate and organizational leader focused on addressing harassment, intimidation, bullying, racism, and discrimination in school systems, which is huge. He works directly with families, students, and school employees to navigate complex educational environments, and confront unsafe and unequitable practices. As the founder of the Black Student Advocate Network, Jerry provides strategic consultations, advocacy support, and accountability tools for parents and employees involved in IEP, 501 meetings, disciplinary actions, expulsion hearings. His work centers on protecting student safety, strengthening parental engagement, and holding institutions accountable for their duty of care. Jerry is also the author of the forthcoming book, Bullying is a Drug, which reframes bullying as a harmful, addictive behavior with lasting emotional, academic, and organizational consequences. The book is designed for students, parents, educators, and leaders, offering practical language and tools to recognize, interpret, and reduce bullying culture in schools and work practices. Through public education, media engagement, and social platforms, Jerry elevates national conversations around school safety, civil rights, and the long term impact of bullying on mental health and academic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome to the stage, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm calling Dr. Jerry Green. Here and here he is. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. And I say that, and when I put a doctor on your name, there's a reason. It's not. I'm not just saying it. I'm saying it because I know your work. I know who you are. You've always been a strong advocate for our community. So I want to thank you for your work that you're doing because um, many people don't even know they have rights.
Correct. And the phrase goes, if you don't know you have rights, then no one else is going to tell you you have rights, and they're not going to represent or respect you in your rights.
Right, right. Well, I want to thank you for your work. I know um, what inspired you what inspired you to become an advocate for K-12 students, their families, and educators?
So it wasn't an inspiration. It came after me. I didn't chase it. And when I say that, I was publishing my Black Business Directory there in Southern California,
Right.
and parents in April 2017 start calling saying, Jerry, cause your paper, you're a resource. They trying to kick my baby out of school. So I said,
Mm,
well, when is the meeting? You know, they said Tuesday. I said, oh, I can go, but they were looking for someone who was an advocate, and I
right,
didn't know anyone. So I said, oh, I can go. So
right,
after going to 5 meetings over 3 weeks, all 5 students got to stay in school. And I was just going asking basic questions like, based on what this child has done, what policy or procedure are you using to hold them accountable? And I didn't know anything about ed code.
right,
I was just, what are you using? Because I learned that from the military. It has to be a policy or something to hold someone accountable.
right.
And just asking basic questions, all 5 students got to stay in school. So then I Googled Black Student Advocate and didn't anything show up. So I said, okay, I'll be the Black Student Advocate. And that's how it started.
Wow. I remember when we were talking about this a few years ago, and you were telling me that, and some people may not, I don't want to say, I'll say the acronym, which is called IEP. People may not even know what that means. You want to explain
Mhm.
that so they can know?
Sure. In the individualized education program
Mhm.
or plan. And basically, what that means is the difference between IEP and 504. 504 is accommodations, meaning that I get to leave early because I got a kidney problem. I get to sit to the front left side of the classroom because I can hear better out of my right ear. That's accommodation. And
Right,
IEP is services, which means I might have a speech therapist. I might have a one-to-one, someone who stays with me all day long and help me redirect my energy and my behavior. I might have a speech pathologist and other services. So when you say IEP, that involves individuals, personnel actually working and being with the student versus a 504 is just giving accommodations.
It's in education they use a lot of these. I say acronyms. I'm, as a retired educator, but at the same time, I think to make what you've done was is you've dispelled a lot or went through a lot of this and made it where a parent is palatable for them to understand this is what they're saying about your child instead of speaking a language that you may not understand when it comes to our kids. So basically, you weren't looking to be an advocate; it found you.
Correct. Correct. And so my backstory is uh, I look at this now as legacy work because how my mother advocated for me and my eight other siblings. So now I look at it as legacy work because my story is because I was so playful as a kid, they wanted to hold me back in kindergarten. My mom said, no, push him to first grade. Let's see what happens. But I was undisciplined and couldn't sit down. I could read because we had the highlight books. If people, listeners understand them, that's the books you used to get in the mail and you used to learn how to read. So I could
Yes.
read, I just wanted to play. And
Um,
so when I see these students today and when they get labels, I can see that if I was a kid in today's time, HD.
oh, so you would have been labeled. Oh, can you hear me? I don't know if you can
Yes, I
hear me.
can. Go ahead.
Okay, I said so.
Yes, I can.
You would have been labeled
Yes,
if it was
yes,
today. If you grew up today, you would have been
yes,
labeled. Well, we have
yes.
some questions or some comments from our audience. So I definitely want to always first our
Okay.
comments from our beautiful niece in Atlanta. Her name is Jazzy, and she says, "Hi, Auntie. Hi, sweetheart." And she says, "Oliver." She said, "Hi, Uncle Oliver." Then I see another comment from Victoria. She says, let's see, can we get that comment, Victoria? I want to make sure I get any comments. Audience, when you leave comments, our goal is to always put them up there. And Victoria says, "Hello, Angel and Oliver." Oh, I think you were talking about for Jerry, Dr. Victoria. I don't know. And we done lost the comments. I know they're here somewhere, but anyway, here we go. Okay, but I wanted to make sure too, Jerry, because you when you did with those five students, how
Mhm.
did that make you feel?
You know, I was kind of shocked because I didn't come from education. I came from the business community.
Right.
And I was like, okay, if that happened just because someone's showing up in
Yeah.
a bow tie, let me say that, because I showed up in a bow tie, they didn't know what my background was.
Right.
They just like, oh, this guy's here in a suit. He must be someone, or it might be important. And I'm
Yeah.
just asking questions,
Yeah.
and then I would go to school sites when I got a call with something was happening right away. I would drop in on school sites and they would ask, do you have an appointment? I would say no. And now they were just stuck. The secretary be just stuck there with her mouth open. And I said, I
Yeah.
want to see the site administrator.
Right. So you really
You
and
know,
because I think because you came professionally dressed, they didn't know if you were a lawyer, which they
right,
automatically thought you were, by the way.
right,
And they could have asked, but then they would. I think that the thing of it was there was an assumption that you were some in the legal field,
correct.
and that was. But that's because you presented yourself as though you were actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I knew that because understand, uh, my ties that I wear are regular ties. I tie to bow ties. That's why they're so big, and that's what I built as my brand.
mm,
So the same thing I would say with a straight tie wasn't getting lift off, but since I had a bow tie on, people think intellect, and it flies well.
yeah. Oh yeah, like you said, that was your brand,
Yeah,
and so they look at that as like, we don't see this every day. You put a different spin on your look to present to that. I can definitely see that. Now, when you met with you met for expulsion hearings or there were suspension hearings?
These were suspension hearings.
Okay.
So the initial ones were just suspension, but just asking again, why? Based on the action and based on the policy, or I'll say that don't make logical sense. And just me saying that, they had to step back. Like, oh, well, maybe you're right. Okay, so they're not going to be suspended after all.
So these were there boys, girls, or mixture?
I'm thinking, trying to remember, it's probably like a 3-2 or 4-1 boys to girls.
Okay. Because
So it's interesting you asked that question though, because in disciplining students,
yeah.
it goes black boys, black girls, then white boys. So
Wow.
black girls are disciplined more than white boys are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I remember. I'm gonna speak for my experience. I was suspension, but I'm from the generation where they would get you swats,
Hmm.
and with those you don't know what that is, they would have a paddle. In the principal's office was serious. This all was real stuff. In the principal's office was different size paddles, and if you did something and that teacher sent you to the principal's office, you had to bend over and they would hit you with that paddle.
Hmm.
And I remember one of my girlfriends did get hit with it. And she came and she said, "Well, all I remember her saying is I didn't cry in front of him. I didn't let him
Hmm.
see me cry." That's what it was.
Hmm.
In that bathroom, she was bawling like I don't know what, because that's how bad
Hmm.
it hurt. But
Hmm.
I remember this because I said I will never do anything to have somebody hit me like that.
Hmm.
And I didn't, because her experience was enough for me. And I
Hmm.
don't, if I remember correctly, she never did anything else to cause that again, because that unpleasant. But I
Hmm.
just remember these things, and probably, if I be honest, I probably was traumatized by it,
Yes.
by seeing this grown man, and we're in the third and fourth grade,
Hmm.
and she has to pull up her dress to have her behind hit with this paddle.
Hmm.
Ah, the thought of it now is like it's unbelievable that we even allowed that, but we did at that
Yeah.
time. So even now we're doing it, but we're doing it in a different way. It's what it is. And I wanted to say, this is Gwen saying, "Hi, Mary. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Gwen."
How you doing, Gwen?
This is my cousin. She's up in the Bay Area. I tell you. And then Jazzy said, "This is truly amazing." It really is, Jazzy. What's amazing to me of what you do, truthfully, Jerry, is that there's so many people that need what you're teaching, that showing up and asking questions can make the difference. It can make the difference in whether that child was suspended or not suspended. And suspensions go on their educational record.
Hmm.
As much as you can, you want to avoid all of those kind of things. And it says, okay, talking about you, Mira, and your hubby. Well, thank you, Dr. Victoria. Thank you. Well, tell me on because now you go around. Now it has become, you go around the country and do this.
Yeah. So we take calls in from around the country. Right now, we have over 9,200 consultations. We have over 900 meetings with school district administrators.
Right,
We
right,
have 16 expulsion hearings. Also, 14 different states we've advocated in, over 85 different institutions, schools, plus Cal State, University of San Bernardino, and Portland Community College we advocated, and also nine different types of schools. So a lot of people just think it's just regular public K through 12, but
right.
there are many different types of institutions, meaning from religious based, private charter, NPS. A lot of people don't even never heard of NPS, but NPS is a non-public school. So that's where a student will go if they have special needs that can't be met within the public school sector. Then they have schools just designed just for high functioning students with special needs or autistic students.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And we have the executive producer of the show. Oliver said, Hi, Mr. Green. Thank you for joining the show and blessing us with your wealth of knowledge. And also thank you, repeated audience, for your time. And that is Oliver. Wants to make sure, because now I know some of you know Oliver used to get his comments in at the end. And next thing you know, we will miss him. I'm so glad he started with him in earlier. Hi, Susan, showing up and asking questions. Well said. And Susan is an attorney. So she's here, and she was actually secretary. I don't know if she still is secretary with the NAACP with the Riverside chapter. So thank you, Susan, for stopping by. So I would now, so what you're saying, let me ask you this. Let's say I'm a parent and my child is scheduled to be suspended. What should I do? Because number one, what we do, we panic.
So it's three questions you want to ask right away.
Okay.
Where is it located in the student handbook? Where's the charge or accusation on the district website? And where is it at in education code? Because education code is a legislation which govern how school districts work. So if you get pulled over, get a ticket, it's penal code. Dealing with school districts is education code. So same thing, same, just different title, but they have to tell you the accusation, the action, and what coder they're using to suspend your student. And based on that, I can defend a student's position one way or the other.
Okay. And so now is it, you advise a parent, to always bring an advocate with them?
Either bring an advocate or have someone on the phone, a third set of ears. Because school districts are going to lie. My experience, I've seen them lie from the superintendent all the way down to the kindergarten aide. So you have to have someone else who can vouch or say, no, they didn't say that. Because I got to understand, it's a system that protects itself.
Right.
So you're the advocate for your student. You got to go in and understand you're going against a big institution. So you have to have someone else because you're going to be emotional. You're going to be overwhelmed. They're going to use acronyms. So you need to have someone who's not emotionally attached to be able to break down what they're telling you.
Got it. Now, are these meetings recorded or they're not recorded?
It all depends. So in California, it is a all-party state. So you have to let them know in California you want to record the meeting. And they're going to tell you no. Unless it's an IEP schedule, then you can record it. But other meetings, most districts are going to tell you no, you can't record.
Okay. So
but that depends on the state though. Some states are one-party states, meaning that I can record without telling you, So
but
yeah.
You have to know the law for that state.
Correct.
Is there some place that's stated who can record and who can't and who? Because I now that you mentioned that, I was watching, I forget what movie it was, and she said that they were in a one-party state. She was before the judge, and she said, and I've given permission to record. So she recorded the meeting, but because the other day was saying you didn't have my permission, she said, in this state, I don't need your permission. I only need my permission to record.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you got to know the law.
Yeah, and you can look it up just on Google and say which states are one-party states or all inclusive states.
Got it. I know I've heard of it, but I didn't until, like I said, I just saw recently which states that would apply to. That's something that people need to know. And really, they can record it without. They don't need their permission to record it.
No, they do.
If even there's a one-party state.
No. If there's one party, you don't. No.
Okay, but California is a two-party state.
Or all party, which means if it's four of us, all of us have to say yes.
Okay. Oh, that's it. That's very interesting. That's really important to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they have to know before the meeting, or do they need to know at the meeting?
Well, it all depends. If a parent has a meeting scheduled, then I advise them to send a message saying, I want to record the meeting. I want to record. So then they're going to get a response back in writing, or at the beginning of the meeting, they're going to say, hey, we've received your email. We do not authorize you to record this meeting.
Okay, but it needs to no phone calls. They need to be in writing. Everything's in writing.
Yeah, I mean, because phone calls, put it like this, phone calls didn't happen. I forgot what was said, all the other variables that happen with phone calls, but or if it is a phone call right away, send a follow-up email as to what was said on the phone call.
Got it. Okay. Well, and I think, audience, what he's saying is that unfortunately people get amnesia when it comes to phone calls. I would highly advise that you do it through email, only because it covers you, and then they can say, well, no, they can disagree with the email, whatever it is. There's a written record, and that's what I think you definitely want to have when you're dealing with, no matter who you're dealing with. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. It's just one of those things. I had to learn that too. When I always say a phone call is in the air, so who knows?
Yes.
That phone call, that kind of thing. What's the most common challenges families face when dealing with bullying, harassment, or discrimination in schools?
That the staff members would downplay it as horseplay.
Mm,
They would just say, "Oh, they're just kids being kids,"
wow.
or this happens all the time. That doesn't make it right,
Right.
you know. And understand, if most schools have a zero tolerance policy for bullying, so then why do we have so many bullying situations?
Wow.
Because staff don't enforce it. And
Mm,
that's when we step in, because we're just making staff or holding them accountable to do their job.
right.
Because every student should be able to go to school in a safe environment that's conducive to getting an education.
Wow.
And that's the violation of the student's civil rights. Is if you bully me and it messes with my property or my person,
Mm-hmm.
my academics,
Mm-hmm.
um, me having the ability to go to after school programs,
Right.
and my mental health.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. So when they're faced with it, and they bring it to the attention of the administrator, I would say, well, first, usually I think the first line would be the teachers or the aides, and then it
So
can go to
so anyone on site that's a school employee.
right. I actually told this lady not just recently. She said, well, I work in the cafeteria. And I said, you are just as important as any
Mhm,
teacher or administrator on this campus. And people don't really know they're mandated reporters also.
mhm.
If you're on that
Yes.
campus and you're an adult on the campus, you are, for those of you that don't know what that means, a mandated reporter means if that student comes to you and tells you in any way that they're being discriminated against, harmed, someone's bullying them, whatever the case may be, you are mandated to report. You cannot just hold this information. You have to go to, well, when I was in education, I can't say now because I haven't been there for a while, but we had to go submit it in writing that day to the county. We had to write a report that day and submit it. Now, I've had to write reports, and unfortunately things have happened. I mean, they had to remove children, all kinds of things. You never know what can happen. It depends on what's going
So
on with that
so
child.
so so now, Mary, that's a very common retaliation.
What's that?
Is when a parent start advocating for their student and
Mhm.
holding school districts accountable, then they have employees who put false claims against parents, and within 2 weeks of an accountability, the parent being at the school site, then CPS shows up at their door.
No.
Yes, very common, very
Oh
common.
my gosh. No, I no. Well, I'm trying to, when I was teaching, that was not even a thought of doing anything.
Yeah.
It was always the child. Really, the child would say things, and I would say to them, because I've had kids say, "Can you please not report this?" They've actually said that. I said, "I'm just going to be
Hmm.
honest with you. By law, I have to report it. I don't have. It's not like I have a choice any to not report it." And I look back and I think, because they were so ashamed of the
Hmm.
situation,
Hmm.
and I have had students removed from the home, but not because
Hmm.
I had anything to do with the parents. I have anything to do with them one way or the other. I just was going by what the child had told me. But I can see how that could be actually. So as soon as, not as soon as, but within you can actually see what happens.
Yes, yes.
So how do you deal
And
with that?
well, because the county. So let me give you two sides of the coin.
Okay.
So the Department Children Protective Services, they got to do their job.
Right.
They're going to go out, investigate, and many times they know as soon as they go out, it's a false claim, but they have to do their procedures.
They have to.
I've talked to social workers actually in Texas and says, yeah, Mr. Green, this is very common practice that districts retaliate. And I've seen it all over the country, not
Wow.
just in California or Texas. I've seen it in different other states also. That's one. The other side of that is though, Mary, is when a staff member does something to a student that should be reported to CPS,
Hmm.
no one calls CPS or law enforcement.
Wow.
A third of calls we get is staff bullying students.
Wow. Now
Yeah,
I don't think I ever wrote one like that. It
yeah.
was student. It was whatever it was. It was never staff doing it to a student. That's wow. I've never experienced that. Mm-mm.
And so now, again, so think about this. So right now, my company is positioned real nice, and it's only going to get better because 75% of board members have never been teachers. So
Mm.
they don't even understand the system in which they try to lead and manage.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
what other industry can have leaders who don't know what they're doing?
Wow.
That's one. Two, the percentages of students are down across the country.
Yep.
You have to look at the business model. If we didn't have compulsory, and what compulsory means is mandated or law enforced to force kids to go to school, we would
Right.
have had kids leaving schools years ago.
Right.
So the model is broken. And what's going on? Milk is going up, bread's going up, gas
Yep.
is going up, insurance. So that creates stress in a household, which means if parents are stressing, the kids are carrying the stress. So now they're going to go to school and many times become the bully. Or they might be in a bad situation at home because hurt people hurt people. They
Yes.
might begin bullied at home and now they go to school and become the bully.
Wow. Well, we have a comment. This is from Jazzy. She says, everything you do is truly a blessing, and we are very grateful for all you do for kids in the world. Thank you, Jazzy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. I'm just listening, because I'm amazed. The numbers are with there's a lot of things going on here. The second, I say second or third generation, they're having fewer kids or sometimes no children.
Mhm.
So the numbers are dwindling around the entire country because it's so expensive to just survive. People are
Yes.
like, you know what? No, we may have one if we have any, but we're not trying to have, so many kids because it's too expensive
Hmm.
and it's expensive to educate people. Um,
Hmm.
and so the numbers are going down. Our family, when I was growing up, it was not unusual to have families of 8 or 9 kids,
That's us.
and
There's 9 of us.
I haven't heard 8 or 9 kids. I don't even know the last time I've heard 8 or 9 children. It's just not commonplace anymore. Nowadays, if you hear 3, people are like, wow, you have 3 kids? They're just like, how do you afford to feed them? How do you afford like
So, so,
because it's so expensive?
so that leads to the next thing. How do you know your kid is being bullied? If you
Mm,
see them come home and the first thing they do is run to the kitchen and you looking like, man, you're eating like you're the eating thing all day. They didn't. There's a bully in the cafeteria they don't want to see. If
wow.
your kid is taking excessive showers, it's someone at school that said they stink. So they're trying to take excessive showers. If
Wow.
kids are brushing their teeth and you see toothpaste, it's just seem like it's getting up walking out the door. Someone is talking about your kid's teeth.
Wow.
So kids try to self-manage the bullying themselves first
Hmm.
until they can't do anything else about it.
You know what you're saying. One of our sons was bullied in high school. He wore flip flops,
Mhm.
even when it's raining. He always wore flip flops, and kids talked about him. And he talked to. I remember when he told me about it, and I was teaching at the high school that my sons went to, and he said, "Well, was hit hit. I don't know if he said it or the other. Someone said it to me. Why do they tease him about something? He's not bothering them. He's not. You know what I mean? No, in no way was he affecting their life. In no way." And I
Mhm.
said, because he's different. He's different. And
Mhm.
what I appreciate though, he capitulated to them. He never did. He
Mhm.
still wore the flip flops. He still it was
Mhm.
almost I'm gonna make you understand that I can do whatever I want to do as long as I'm not in any way hurting you or hurt.
Mhm.
That's the oldest son. I remember I introduced you to the number one son. All of the sons are
Yeah,
number one sons, by the way.
I understand how it is. My brother be like, "Oh, this is my favorite sister." It's five of them.
Uh-huh. You have to do that. I've
Yeah.
always said that. In fact, the oldest one asked me one day, he goes, Mom, why do you do that? I said, why should your brothers not be number one? Why
Right.
should they be number one? And he goes, but I'm the oldest and everything. I said, I know that. And guess what? So
Mhm.
do they. So do
Mhm.
they. It's not like they don't know. But their whole lives, I've been calling them number one. Haven't I, Bradley? So to me, they're all my number one sons. That's how. But as you're talking about bullying, is coming to me. This situation. I mean, I just remember him. He continued to wear the flip flops. It
Mhm.
was almost like he was, making a statement. I think to him. Not. I don't know if it was to them or to himself.
Mhm.
What am I doing that's hurting you? Because I have
Yep.
decided I want to wear flip flops to school.
Yep.
That kind of thing. But he was bullied. He was bullied for it. So. But you're saying too that there's when people see children doing certain things, it's almost like you have to connect the dots. You may see them doing it, but you don't know
Mhm.
why they're doing it. You don't know
Correct.
why they're taking showers. You don't know why they're eating when they come in like they haven't ate all day. Those kind of things because they haven't ate all day, like you're saying,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
of that whoever that person is. Um, Can you share an example of how effective advocacy has changed the outcomes for a student and their family?
Oh, it's many of them. So um, let's start, and I'll keep it at home. Let's say right there in Riverside, USD,
Okay.
had a student being bullied at I can't think of the name now, but just a student being bullied,
Mm-hmm.
and again, just being on the phone because my first call is I'm calling the superintendent's office.
Okay.
I'm not calling the site principal or anyone because as soon as I call, they're going to district up. Oh, Mr. Green, we need you to talk to our district personnel, or they're going to say we need you to talk to our lawyer. And the district tells me that too at the district level. Oh, Mr. Green, we need you to talk to the lawyer. And I love that because now the lawyer knows up front early that they're wrong and they're being held accountable. So it's
Mm,
not like he's going to be or she going to be brought in later saying, "Oh, I just heard this." No, you heard about it 6 months ago, and you
wow.
still didn't tell your client or your employer to change. So at
Mm-hmm.
that point, you were given notice.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing is, if we go through my whole 13-step process and the parent or the employee is not happy, then I research, find an attorney, and bring an attorney on the team, and we sue school districts.
It goes to another level.
Litigation, yes.
Okay. Um, Now does that settle usually from what I know in all the years in education, they try to mediate a situation, meaning, ladies and gentlemen, that it doesn't go to a trial or anything like that. The mediator comes to an agreement between the student and the district, and it's usually whatever they decide is a fair amount to compensate for whatever harm. Am I correct?
Yes. So,
Okay.
so, so let me tell you how it works. At least in
Okay.
Southern Cal,
Okay.
it's SICK. That organization name is SICK, which is Self-Insured Schools of Kern. So all the school districts fall up under this one agency, and they're self-insured. So now when you're dealing with a school district, you're really not just fighting the district, you're fighting the organization, because what they're going to do is they're going to look at what happened to this student, look at the numbers, and say, should we settle or should we go to court? And this is how much we look at the numbers, how much this situation should pay.
Mm.
So it's not the school site who's quote unquote really making the decision. It's actually the agency who's making the decision.
And they're basing it on the data that they already
The
have.
data. Yes.
Yeah. So they know.
Yeah, they know.
Uh-huh. That's what it is. It's fascinating to me because I've only basically been on this side of it, of the education, of the teacher side. And at the same time, I've had to write suspensions. I've had to do that part of it. But my thing, it was not only was it a document, we didn't talk about this either, parents or guardians, you need to document and keep a folder or keep it organized and whatever you're doing. Am I correct?
Yes. And let me say this right here. Just because I'm the Black student advocate, I don't go for nonsense, and I'm not going to defend bad behavior.
Right.
I stand on ed code, good or bad. If the student does something and they're up for expulsion, I'll say, Mom, based on what your student did, Dad, based on what your student did, they're going to be expelled.
Mm-hmm.
But what we can do is take alternative school in lieu of expulsion. Let's send your kid there, keep their nose clean for 6 months. Then we can bring them back to a comprehensive school, but they can't go back to the same site in which they did that offense.
Got it. But that helps them not have a record expulsion on their educational record.
Correct.
It's even that, truthfully, I can pretty much guess many people don't even know that's an option.
Right.
So they think that the only option is expulsion.
Yeah.
Wow.
And understand this right here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to a hospital and you say, I need to see somebody up on 5C, then they're going to say, information, go around the corner, get on the elevators, go to 5th floor, get off and make a left, and go to the double doors. If you go to the airport, you need to get a corridor C, then they're going to say, get on the tram, ride down, and get off at stop number 6. But educators and education do not teach you how the system works. You find out how the system works when you're involved in the system, and many times that's too late.
Yeah, I can see that. Is it? Have you found? You said when you mentioned it was African American boys and African American girls, and then white boys. What happens with brown boys and brown girls?
But so it all depends also the makeup of the administrators.
Wow.
So it's several things that we need to teach Black boys, and especially if they're athletes. We need to teach them how to govern themselves when they have a white girl or a Hispanic girl who like them, and they have white or Hispanic administrators. Because I've seen Black athletes who do the minor thing and they get the book thrown at them because the administrators don't like their girls liking the Black boys.
Right. Wow. But they don't know how to deal with that. I think that's they don't, it's that attention and all those things that come with it, that they don't know how to handle it, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
but that's when the parents need to talk about, how the student carries themselves, how the boy carries themselves, because you're an athlete, but you're not above the law. So when something minor happens, then, because there's latitude within the ed code. So if I'm the student and I'm the aggressor and I start the fight, okay, then I should get 5 days. If you fight back, that's ed code 48900A1, I'm the aggressor. 48900 A2 is mutual combat. I get 5 days, you get 3. You're going to get suspended defending yourself because you did fight. And also because you did fight, and you did make contact with each other, you both can also be charged with assault up on a penal code.
And that's for high school students?
It could go junior high also.
Wow.
It's the age. Because in California they have some age groups like, third grade and below, they can't be disciplined for only a certain level because they don't know.
Right. What unique barriers do Black students and their families often encounter in today's educational system?
I think one of the biggest things is the bullying that parents get while against the school district. Let me ask you this right here.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a Mercedes dealer and you don't have the money, what do they say?
You can't buy the
You can't buy the car.
Yeah.
But in education, they get to say Black parents don't care and Black students can't learn.
Wow.
So if you treat me like that, then I'm not going to come to the school site. And many times the parents, they live in the same area. Now they've been traumatized from the experience they had in school. And now they don't even want to go back to the school site to advocate for their own baby because the teacher who was there then is now the principal. And he said, little Jerry ain't going to be nothing. And my life didn't work out to the best. So now I might be struggling, but now I got to go back to see this guy who told me I wasn't going to be nothing in life.
And I'm gonna tell you, my high school counselor told me to go out and have a couple of babies. This was told to me by an educator, and I thank God for my parents. My mother said, I remember the day it happened, and she said, "Why is education good enough for him, but it's not good enough for you?" She said, "No, you go to school. You are going to school." She said, "No," she said, "You going to college. I don't care what he said. You're going to college." And my mother was a teenage parent, and her fear was that I would become a teenage parent. That was a fear of hers. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, it wasn't on my agenda type thing. But I look back, and she told me her only choices in life were to get married and have kids and get married and have kids. And that was it. And I'm like, that's it. She said, those are only choices she thought she had. But that's because she didn't know she even had another choice. Think about that. So I agree with you wholeheartedly about the parents being traumatized and bullied and all those things. But my parents grew up in the Delta, for those of you familiar, Mississippi Delta. So they grew up as sharecroppers, and they didn't know that they even could do. Nobody ever said they could do anything else, type thing. So they poured all that into us. Of all their dreams and hopes went into us.
So everything has to happen in the district sandbox, which means on site at a school site. So automatically that puts them in a position of authority. So that's why you have to have someone else who's in a meeting with you, either on the phone or an advocate who know how the system works. Because an advocate is the equalizer in the school space.
Wow. Well, how do you know? Okay, how does bullying affect the students' mental health and their academic performance over time?
So the work I do is I'm protecting generational wealth. Why do I say that? Because if a kid is being bullied, it could change the whole trajectory of their life.
Yeah.
And because it breaks down, and in the book, Bullying is a Drug, I break down the acronym. And the B stands for breaks confidence. So now you've done everything you could to put a nice nest egg for your baby when they grow up. But because they were bullied, now they don't have confidence. And now they think they got to buy friends. Now so all these things that they feel that they need to reach out to have someone love them because they were bullied in second, third grade. And you got to understand that bullying a student is no different than cracking an egg. It's never going to get back to their original shell of who they were. So that's why we have to be in a situation aggressively. And right away, the first call during the consultation, I tell parents, get your babies in therapy and you get in therapy also because it's traumatic to the whole family.
Wow. I think when you said that about the confidence, I'm like, wow. Um, how should schools respond when reports of bullying and racism and discrimination are ignored or minimized?
So, so the thing is that parents should go to school board meetings. If they're not getting the answers they want,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if they're not getting the answers they want at the
Mm-hmm.
school site,
Right.
you could call the district, talk to the director of student services, director of public safety, or I suggest going to the school board because, again, to me, school districts are like roaches. They want to do everything in the dark. But once you expose them and cut the light on, they're going to get it together.
Mm. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I think it's that, like you said, we the protecting each other and those kind of things. And that's
So,
unfortunate. But that does happen. That happens in corporate America. So you know it
all
happens.
day long. So,
Yeah.
so, so what happens is this: if you have a meeting at 8:30 with the school site,
Mm-hmm.
you're leaving at 9:45. I'm coming in at 9:45. What do we say on the sidewalk? How you doing? We don't ask why are you here. We could be here for the
Mm-hmm.
same reason,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't communicate like that.
Right.
So we just thinking I'm going to deal with my student, but it's a systemic problem. And that's what the work I do. I'm able to say, oh, I dealt with a student like that at this school site last year or within this district. So if
Mm-hmm.
it happens at middle school and high school, it's systemic.
Mm. I see what you're saying. But we have Sheila says hello, Mary. Hello, Jerry. Hi, Sheila.
Hey,
Good
how
to
you doing?
nice of you to stop by. I tell you, because I know too. I'm as we're going through this, Jerry, things are coming back to me.
Hmm.
When I, like I said, when I was teaching as to when students are bullied, I remember he wasn't bullied. Well, I shouldn't say this. I think he was bullied. I just remember this student coming in class with a hood. This was before the hoodie thing got to be a big thing. And he just put the hood over his head and put his head down the desk. And I went over to him and I said, is everything okay? I did not know he was being bullied. I didn't know anything. I just knew his actions were telling me something was wrong. That's the only thing I knew. I didn't know any about. And then, do you know he dropped out of school? And I'm
Hmm.
calling the house, and then the phone's been disconnected. I'm like, what is?
Hmm.
So I don't know what the whole. I'll be honest, I do not know. I kept trying to follow up. I don't know. The family moved. It. I don't. I still never knew what happened. But it was. I'm trying to look into it because I knew something was wrong. That's all I knew. I didn't know, and it may have. I don't know if it was bullying. I don't know if it was at home. I don't know. But I knew when
Hmm.
I saw him come in and put his head down and pull that hood up, all of his actions told me something is not right with this student because this is not his everyday way type thing. But I just knew that all I could do is all I could do, but I could never get in touch with him again. So I don't know if it was family issues, something at school. I never found out. But I would
So
tell
I
to,
would say in that right there,
mhm.
he was bullied. We just don't know if it's at home or in school because
Correct.
he tried to make himself small.
He did.
By covering up his head, he
Yeah.
tried to make himself small and invisible.
It was so evident to me that something was wrong. It was so obvious that because he it was. But then all of a sudden, like I said, not only did they, I couldn't reach him by phone, which before I could reach him by phone. So see, and
Hmm.
you could be like you said, was it at home? Could because now I can't reach home, so I don't know. But I've been
Hmm.
through all kinds of situations, but that one comes to mind when I, like you
Hmm.
said, he was trying to make himself invisible inside the classroom,
Hmm.
but it did the opposite for me. It made him stand out. That's what I
Hmm.
noticed. I could really tell something was really bothering him, that kind of thing.
And see how you notice that?
Hmm.
Educators see it every day. It's just if they're going to step in and find out what's going on or not.
I
Because
really,
again, you know their actions.
uh-huh.
If you got kids and you're seeing them every day, you're
Yeah.
going to know when something ain't right.
You really, you do. You know your kids. It's so interesting how that works. How you, and like I said, that wasn't his norm. That's why I noticed him, because that was not the normal way. He would come in and he goes, "Hi, Miss Welch," just very. And this day he wasn't. The
Hmm.
quietness was so obvious to me. The pulling the head down was so obvious to me. And then when I went to him and asked him, and he just shook his head. In fact, now I think about it, he never said anything. He just shook his
Hmm.
head because I said, "Is
Hmm.
everything okay?" And he would be like nodding, but never really saying anything. And I knew it was
Hmm.
something wrong. I knew, and I kept trying to get him to say. By the time now you're dealing with so many other. You're dealing. Well, my classes were 36 a class, but I remember that day, and I've never
Hmm.
seen that student since that day. So I don't really know what
Hmm.
happened. Truthfully, I would
Hmm.
hope that whatever it was rectified. That's all I can say. So,
Hmm.
looking ahead, what impact do you hope your advocacy and your book will have on schools, families, and future generations?
I would want and expect the book to help individuals who have been bullied as a kid to say,
Okay.
I'm not crazy. I did experience this. And now, because of the book, I'm able to put a finger on what I experienced or what I went through, and then to seek help to help them become whole.
Wow. I think truthfully, a lot of people don't even know they've been bullied or bullied. They don't know, they don't, you know what I mean? It's happening or happened, but they don't really understand what's happening.
Hmm.
That's what I think it is. But I want to give you an opportunity. First, I want to thank you for being on the show today, Jerry. Truthfully, I'd like to have you back because this is such an interesting conversation. And that um, I know there are people, adults here, that have probably experienced this. And as I have, as we're talking, situations come to mind that I
Hmm.
was living and did not recognize it to be bullying. And
Hmm.
how do we help that person? And sometimes it may be helping ourselves. We may have
Hmm.
been the one bullied, that kind of thing. So, but I
Hmm.
want to give you a chance. Do you have any final words for our audience?
Yes, I would say, remember, when you're dealing with the school district, it's a team sport. So you need to get with two or three families, and when they have a problem or they need to go and talk about their student, you're there on the phone or in the meeting with them, and vice versa. Because when that happens, then you're going to see a difference in what happens at the school site. Also, be at the school site minimum 12 times a year, because opportunities, three things happen when you're at the school site.
Mhm.
One, your baby is covered. Your baby know you're going to be there. Two, the student's behavior is going to be different. Him and all his friends, or her and all her friends, should be on better behavior. And three, it's going to lessen the discipline. So now
Mhm.
teachers can actually teach. So really, individuals don't really know that I'm really supporting the school district and the work I do also. It's
Mhm.
just I get called from a parent when it's an emergency situation that needs to be addressed. But
Right.
then after that, that's what I advise the parent to be on site 12 times a year. Because also when a parent is on site, then the power transfer happens because you get to see how the district works. If you
Right.
just dropping your kid off and picking them up, you don't understand what happens inside the building. And
Right.
you don't want to find out when it's too late.
Right.
Also, beginning of the school year, there's no get to know your teacher day. No, you go in and ask them how are they going to deal with bullying if it happens in the classroom? How are
Mhm.
they going to deal with the grades? How are they going to deal with the racism? And how are they going to address when all these things happen at once? So you'll know a game plan. So by doing that, you're letting this teacher know that I'm going to be involved. And when you're involved, it's a whole different relationship with the school district.
Right. Well, thank you again, Dr. Jerry, for coming on the show today. Your time is definitely appreciated more than you
Thank
know.
you.
And thank you, audience, for being here. We will have Dr. Jerry back because I mean, there is someone here. If it's not you or your family, you know someone that advocacy is definitely needed in our community. I think it's a game changer. It's definitely a game changer. So thank you again, Jerry. And
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen, we will be back next Monday. I think it's the 6th. Don't quote me on that, but we'll be back a week from today. And like I said, I'm gonna see if I know he's busy. I don't know if he's available, but Mary, maybe Jerry can come back and we can continue this conversation because this is so needed, and we need this information. And Dr. Victoria she said, "Thank you, Dr. Jerry." See.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you again on Monday. Bye, everybody.